We're going to talk about the Diamond today a little bit, get a little introduction to some of the systems on here and the basics of it, and we'll go through each one as a component or as a little sub-assembly. So let's get started. We built the Diamond based on the stainless steel helmet and the pod system. The pod is different than what you'll find on a 97 or a 37 stainless. It's a one-piece unit that incorporates the regulator into the housing, whereas on the 97 you have a separate regulator body, the 455. The components in the regulator, the inhalation side, are almost identical to what's in the 455. There's a single slot that runs the length of the tube, and on the Diamond there's a slot and a hole that run crossways to the center line of the tube. And that's because the geometry inside the pod is so much different than a 455. The shrouds are for using in contaminated water. You can run fresh water through them to keep all the components clean with clean fresh water, or you can use it for hot water if you dive in deep and you want the hot water system. The surface bypass valve is a quarter turn valve, simply like that. In this position, the surface vent is shut, so all the exhaust is coming out of the bypass tube and the overpressure over here. This is open to where the spring tension's been relieved, so it's very easy to exhaust. If you're in surface vent or reclaim mode, chances are, even if you had this open, you won't get any exhaust out of here because the exhaust resistance is just slightly higher than what this provides down here. This is a much better exhalation resistance valve. If you crank this on in that configuration, you'll probably get some bubbles out of here. But once this is closed, nothing. Everything goes up the hose to the surface or to the system. The head cushions are the same. The communications are the same. One of the big advantages to having the surface vent or on reclaim is you don't have any exhaust noise, none at all. So all the exhaust bubbles are gone. So the communications is much better. You still have inhalation noise, the hissing of the air coming in, but the exhaust bubbles are gone, so it quiets things down substantially. The bypass equalizer tube is located on this side, and it's part of the surface bypass valve assembly. And what this does is direct exhaust bubbles when you switch to open circuit. The reason for the tube is to equalize the pressure between the valve and the inhalation regulator. Normally, if you had an open valve in this position, in a normal diving position or face down, the valve would be higher than the regulator and the regulator would free flow. What this does is create a balance between the exhaust valve and the diaphragm on the regulator by going through a double chamber system here. So the gas comes out, goes down, measures the pressure down here, and then comes back out and then exits through the top. The Diamond exhaust assembly is basically a two-stage regulator. It's a safety valve so that the diver's exhaust gas doesn't see the negative pressure at the end of the hose where it's being dumped to the surface or to the other systems. It goes through the first diaphragm and then lifts the second diaphragm, and they balance each other out so that there's a safety factor, and the diver will never see a negative pressure on his lungs. The Diamond exhaust is very easy to remove and maintain. There are two screws that go through the exhaust valve and into the pod. They're located inside. You open the door and they're right here. There are two Allen head or hex head screws that you can easily access with a driver through here. You remove the screws and this valve comes away and swings over, and this hose is flexible, so it's very easy to remove the hose, and then the valve is free. And the amount of time it takes you to remove it, you can put a new one on. The overpressure relief valve serves two purposes, mainly for overpressure relief. In case excess pressure gets to the helmet, it will automatically burp off any overpressure that's in the helmet to a safe level. The pressure in the helmet will never exceed safe levels because of this. The second purpose of it is to ease up on the exhaust resistance when you go to open circuit. When you switch this to open circuit, you immediately start to exhaust out of the bypass tube. But to help with the exhaust resistance, you rotate the knob counterclockwise about 3/4 of a turn, and it fully opens the spring and allows exhaust gas to come out of this valve as well. So you've got bubbles coming out from both sides. Surface bypass valve is the control to go from open circuit to closed circuit. It's a simple quarter turn valve, and as previously mentioned, when you open this valve, you immediately begin the exhaust. open circuit exhaust through the bypass tube. It comes out through the top here. Once you shut it off, you're on open circuit and all your bubbles exit here, and by opening this valve over here, you get the balance on this side. If any water were to get into the helmet, typically there's no way for water to be removed from a reclaim helmet. We've got a system set up to where it works in conjunction with this overpressure valve here, to where they open about the same time. If the pressure in the exhaust system ever gets a little high, it'll automatically burp off here, or you can crack this open and not really overpressure it, but supply excess gas to the helmet to blow water out of the water purge system. The water purge system is spring loaded and it's normally remains shut, but once you reach that threshold, it will open and dump water out. The materials used on the helmet are 316L stainless, which is the majority of the stainless that's on here. There's some titanium components. The valve body itself is made out of titanium. The internal parts are stainless steel. The ball valve, or the surface bypass valve, is made out of titanium. And the rubber components on here are PVC and natural rubber blend, similar to what's used under the hood of a car for turbo boots and air ducting, so it holds up to chemicals and fumes very, very well. For divers and companies in countries that are regulated by CE authority, it's fully certified and ready to go.